Please stand by. Okay, wait a second. That's about right. Are we sitting normal? Pretty good, huh? All right. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning. I'm Spokane Steve. You already know that. It's been a while since I've been on the camera. Let me grab my coffee here. Coastal Peaks coffee, which is what I'm having, coincidentally enough. Some that I brought back from San Luis Obispo. It's amazing coffee. It's spendy. I wouldn't have it every day. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here because we're going to take a look at the 1966 standings and stats. To this point, I think we've got 6 weeks in the books now. Let's see, May 22nd. That sounds right to me. Anyway, it's through games of May 22nd. I believe that's 6 weeks of play. Average games played per team sitting 33, 34, something like that. I had to put Mookie in the bedroom because he's out of control this morning. He came up here and knocked this laptop down, the monitor, broke one of my vapes. Okay, so he's right when I'm getting ready to set up, he starts going crazy. Enough about that. Hope everyone's having a good day. Of course, we've got a ball game later, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. We've got Atlanta Braves at Cincinnati Reds. Hope you'll join me for that. I did not pre-announce the stat update. I usually don't. I tend to get those in when I have time. And I had some time here, so we're going to do that. Without any further ado, let's take a look at some of the numbers from the 1966 season so far, all right? Do it like that. Okay, and then we're going to zoom in a bit. Level that out a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Well, greetings, Mike. Mike's here. Yes, he is a kitten. And I have to admit, I tend to forget that sometimes lately because of his size. He's so big for 7 months, 7.5 months roughly. One second here. What is this? Okay, that's fine. How does that look to you, Mike? Is it clear, readable? Would it be better with the light? I think it would be better with the light. Or is that too bright? What do you think? That does throw some glare onto the screen, or the reflection rather, of the ring light. Better with the light or without, or before? Do you like that? Okay, so we'll do it with the light. I think it's better with the light. It's a little harder for me to read, but looking at the monitor, it seems to be clearer on the monitor. Let me grab my glasses. I forgot to do that while I was trying to get him under control. Okay. With the light. All right. Let there be light. We will have light. We'll start out with the American League standings. As you can see, the Orioles in first place, 22-11. Half a game ahead of the Athletics. The Twins a game back. Indians 2 back. Detroit Tigers 2.5 back. Then there's a drop-off. Washington and Boston both 7.5 back at 15-19. Angels, who kind of got screwed yesterday by me. Again, I apologize for that. I think I handled that situation the only realistic way I could. Just simply try not to do that again. The White Sox 11-21 and the Yankees 9-25. They're 6 games off of their last place record at this time in real life, okay? They were 15-19 on their way to a 70-89 finish. So they've just been horrible beyond words. Looking at the NL standings, we find the Pirates at the top of the heap, 22-11. The Phillies, a game and a half back. The Dodgers, 2 back. Astros, who started off great guns, they've cooled off a bit of late and now find themselves 4.5 back, with the Cardinals 5 back. The Cubs, who started off something like 1-10 or 1-11, have been hot of late and have pulled to within 1 game of 500, 6 games back. The Giants still a somewhat disappointing 16-22, especially when you consider that they were 25-13 and in first place at this point in the season in real life. The Braves have also underachieved at 16-23. They've underachieved compared to their final season record. However, they're only 2 games off of their pace at this point in real life. A stark contrast there, right? The Mets 11-18 and the Reds, with their latest loss, dropped to 12-20 and took over the cellar position from the Mets. Of course, Braves and Reds. That's our game later today. All right. Let's go back to the American League now. We'll take a look at some of the league leaders. You know what? Let's look at the first grand totals. I like to do that. More team stats before we get to the individual accomplishments. We find the Orioles, not at all surprisingly, leading the league in team hitting. 282 as a team. 44 home runs as a team. That would be second to the Tigers. The Tigers have 47 home runs. Indians in third with 40 home runs. Runs scored. Well, before we get to that, let's look at one thing to keep in mind when looking at runs scored is there are a couple teams who've played quite a few fewer games than others. So quickly here, you've got what? 32, 31, 31, 34, 32, 32, 35 for the Angels, 33 Orioles, only 26 for the Red Sox, and 34 for New York. So the Red Sox, due to rainouts, have played quite a few fewer games than everybody at this point. White Sox by far last in runs scored, 109. Next would be Washington, 119. The Orioles, of course, again, not surprisingly, they lead in runs scored with 193. The Minnesota Twins in second with 172. Then you've got the Tigers, 156, the Indians, 151. Boston at 135. Fewer than the Yankees, but remember, the Red Sox have played far less games than anyone else. Team ERA is a real mind blower. Seeing the Kansas City Athletics with a 3.05. Cleveland's home run production way behind the pace, Mike says. Well, they're third in the league in home runs. That's certainly not chopped liver for the Indians. About league average and batting average. Focusing back to the pitching again, Kansas City by far leading with a 3.05 team ERA. Then you have the Indians 3.54, the Twins 3.58, Senators a surprising 3.65, Tigers 3.7, White Sox 3.71, still better than the league average of 3.84. And then comes the drop-off. California, Baltimore, Boston, New York. Surprised to see Baltimore with a 4.09 ERA relative to the league lead. Yeah, Kansas City, and we've discussed this before. They just don't have home runs. They don't have home run hitters, and that's one reason why I tend to try to force the action a little bit more on the bases with them and also with the White Sox, although it's certainly worked out better for Kansas City. They've stolen 35, only been caught 7. The White Sox, despite my attempts to run with them, only 20 stolen bases. Still good for third in the league. The Angels in second, 22, and they've only been caught twice. Let's take a look at these same numbers for the National League. Keep in mind again, especially when I go through the individual players, I won't go through everybody, but I'll hold the page long enough where you can go back and pause it at your leisure and look at whatever you want to look at. See who's in the chat here now besides Mike. We've got Kelly, we've got Jeremiah, Mike Terranova's here with us, and several others. So hello to everybody. In the NL, not surprising to see the Pirates were leading with a 290 batting average. Phillies at 283, Astros 277, Cubs 271, St. Louis 266, the Braves right around league average at 258, then it drops off to the Dodgers, Mets, Giants, and the Reds at an anemic 216. Are they last? Let me go back to the American League for a second. Yes, the Yankees at 230, just barely behind the Angels and the Senators. So the Reds, by far the most anemic team, although it's the Mets who've scored less runs. But again, let's look at the games played. The Mets have played fewer games due to rainouts, okay? You've got 33, 37 for the Dodgers, so they've played more games than anybody. Well, that isn't true. 38 for the Giants, 32 Phillies, 33, 36, 39 for the Braves, 33 Cubs, 32 Reds, and only 29 for the Mets. So the Mets again. Yeah, it does. It drops off after Philly. ERA, the Pirates at 2.6, Dodgers at 2.94, Giants at 3.35. None of those, that those three are in the top three should not come as any surprise. I picked the Giants to win the league before the season started. I figured with their pitching and then getting Sadecki and that offense, so far the offense just hasn't been there. 134 runs. 1, 2, only 3 teams have scored fewer in the National League. The Mets, 91 runs, but it's actually the Reds that are worse at 112 if you broke it down to runs per game. Because remember, again, the Mets have played far fewer games than anyone to this point due to rainouts. There is no excusing a 4.65 team ERA, however, and the Reds have been equally terrible. The league ERA at 3.88, so yes, as someone pointed out, Kelly, it drops off after Philly, St. Louis 4.16, the Astros, Braves, Cubs, Reds, and Mets. The runs scored leader is still the Houston Astros, 203 runs. Do they have the most home runs? No, they have 40, but it's second, tied for second with the Giants. It's the Atlanta Braves with 45 homers, spearheaded, of course, by Major League home run leader Hank Aaron with 16. Let's look at the runs scored a little closer here. Okay, so you got 203 Houston, 197 Atlanta. And that feels right, doesn't it? I mean, from the playing, those are the teams that really seem to have the potent lineups. So do the Giants, for that matter, so I can't explain that. Their offense just hasn't got untracked yet. Who's in third? 165 would be the Phillies are in third, the Pirates fourth, the Cubs fifth, the Dodgers sixth, so they're about middle of the pack. Home runs, the Mets basically the Kansas City of the National League, just 13 home runs. The Braves 45, Astros 40, Giants 40. Who would be third? 31? 31 would be third. That's the Cubs with William Santo Banks up in the middle of the lineup. Anyway, interesting stuff. And, a lot of boxes checked where you think, okay, that makes sense. Having played the games myself, and you guys have watched them all too, you get a feel for this. A lot of stuff seems as it should be, and there's a few surprises. Okay, let's go back to the American League here. We'll start there. And we're going to go to the league leaders. Starting with batting average, Jose Tartabull still leading the league in hitting at 381. Rocky Colavito, 355. He seems to have cooled off some since his hot start. Boog Powell, 351. Al Kaline and Harmon Killebrew round out the top 5. Where's Frank Robinson? Well, he's just out of the top 5, tied with teammate Kurt Bluffery. So very much in the batting race, as you don't expect Tartabull and Colavito to bat that high. You really don't expect. A second, I had a call come in, and hopefully I was able to kill that before it interfered with the stream. But apparently not. Oh, good grief. Okay. Boy, I can't win today, I'll tell you that. All right, I'm going to have to go